Hey guys, welcome back. It's that time of year again. Once again, we're dropping our ball knowledge on the line. It's the Premier League 26-27 Premier League predictions. This is a video that I love doing. I just love putting my opinions out there. Right or wrong, it's still a pretty cool video. And to look back at the end of the year and kind of compete with ourselves each year is good. Last year we had a stinker of predictions, but this year hopefully it's going to be a lot better, and hopefully we can kind of get some stuff correct. Obviously we'll start like always the relegation zone, 20th, 19th and 18th. And to me, I think it's pretty clear this year. Obviously, there was a lot of surprises last year. I think this year is going to go back towards traditional. And therefore, I'm putting Hull City dead last. 20th, don't get me wrong, I think I love Hull. Obviously, growing up, they were a Premier League team that used to play lots in. They've not been in the Prem a while. And you can see the quality of their team. They just scraped through the playoffs in the Championship. Did well to win at Wembley. But overall, I don't think they've got the quality, the squad depth, or the signings this year to stay in the Premier League, which is unfortunate because I would have loved to Hull City to stay up. In 19th, I'm going with Coventry. And a lot of people are high on Coventry, and that's because of Frank Lampard. To me, I don't think Frank Lampard's that good. I think people like Lampard because he's English and because obviously his time as Chelsea as a player. But as a manager, he's never been successful. And I just don't think... Yes, he won the Championship with Coventry in convincing style, but I just don't think he's going to do well in the Prem. And in 18th, I'm going Ipswich. Out of the three, I would put money on Ipswich doing better and surviving than other two, only because of recent Premier League appearances. They've got some good Premier League quality players like Leif Davies and stuff like that. I know it's the same Premier League quality and they're only named one player. It's not great, but overall their squad is a lot better. They're linked with some better players like Sunderland last year when they went and got Xhaka. They got some quality elsewhere. That is what Ipswich are looking at. Palacios from Bayern Leverkusen is quality, and they've got some other. They've got some other quality players linked to their squad. So that is the reason why I've got them at an 18th. I do think they do have a small chance to survive him, but to play it safe, basically, obviously we gain points whether how far they are and out. I think it's a smart move to put Ipswich, Coventry and Hull in that bottom relegation zone just to be safe. Moving to 17th to 9th, I'm not a big fan of how they did it this year, but in 17th, I'm going Fulham. Fulham, yes, they came 11th last year. I'm just not convinced. They've lost, obviously, their manager. They've lost their best player in Harry Wilson. I just think they are going to struggle this year, unfortunately. Prove me wrong, Fulham, but if I had to choose one team that could go down, I would probably put money on Fulham. So they're in 17th. In 16th, again, another side that's struggling at the minute, and that is Crystal Palace, 16th. And this is probably going to get a lot of heat because Palace is so good, but they've lost Ole Gazla. Mateta, I don't think he's going to be the same as he was in the last year or two. Yes, they've got Walton, but I still think he could leave by the end of this January. By the end of this window, or even in January, I think he could lose. They've lost both their centre-backs, Lucas and Gahey. Munoz is still there, but I think he's going to lose his ability to go forward because of the new system. I'm just not convinced. They've not gone on and signed anyone. They've not replaced the two big centre-back options that they've lost in Gahey and Lacroix, which they should have done last year. But this year, losing both, I can't see it. And I'm sorry to say, but I do think Fulham and Palace have the better chance of going down than any other team. In 15th, I'm going Nottingham Forest. Again, kind of the same like these three, really. They've lost their manager. Yes, they've just gained Oliver Glasner. But losing, obviously losing Elliot Anderson's a massive one. They've not, obviously... obviously, I'm not convinced about them yet. Losing their best player. Yes, they got Gibbs White, but again, I think Gibbs White could leave by the end of the season. So yeah, I just can't see it. Which is the reason why I put them in at 15th. In 14th, I'm going Leeds United. Obviously survived last season. We're in the relegation fight for a long time. But overall, I do think they're going to be more comfortable this season than last year. There's nothing that shouts out excitement. I know they've signed Harry Wilson. I know they've just gone and signed James Trafford, which does improve their quality. But they're just a very well-drilled side. And that is why I've got them surviving comfortably in 14th. In 13th, who do I want? In 13th, it's so tricky. I'm going for a shocker. I'm going Everton. Everton, to me, are these teams where they could do really well, or they could be a mid-table pack. Yes, they've had a couple of seasons where they were flirting with relegation. They kind of got away from that. Now they need to really push on. New stadium last year, they survived the Prem. They've still got, obviously, Pickford in goal. They got, obviously, Ndiaye, who was so good last year before AFCON. Obviously, they had loaned Jack Grealish. The loss of him may not be amazing, but it was still good quality to have in the side. They've got, obviously, Tavosky and Braithwaite, which are still two good centre-backs. But they really not have gone out and signed anyone. And I think if you're not signing players, you're not moving forward. And that's the reason why I think they're going to finish in 13th. Is that 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th? Yes, 13th. Everton in 13th there. In 12th, it's starting to get hard. But I'm going to put Sunderland. Yes, this is obviously... Why is it not working? This is obviously a massive drop from last year. But if you actually look at the underlying data and the stats, they really should have been 17th. They expected goals, they overperformed. Points from winning positions, they overachieved. And yes, on the last day of the season, they did scrape European football, but they were sitting in 10th on the last day of the season. And that extra Europa League games, I think, is going to hinder Sunderland this season. But again, they can prove me wrong. They proved me wrong last year. And I do think they've still got some amazing talents, like Brobby, like Xhaka in the midfield, Ruffles in goal. I believe Mukelele's still there, but I could be wrong and he might have gone back to PSG. But overall, they've got Hummel, they've got Dan Bullard. They've got a very good side. I'm not counting that out. I just think overperformed last year. They've got now European football. How are they going to cope? I haven't seen them go out and splash money like they did last year. So yeah, for me, they are going to finish in 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, 12th. In 12th. I'm going to have to keep counting. I just don't like how they've set this up. Usually they do like 17th to 12th and then top 10 and stuff like that. But I don't know. I could have structured the table. Could I have done that? No. What am I doing? So yeah. In 11th, I'm going their rivals, Newcastle. And a lot of people are going to scream and shout, and that's fine if you're a Newcastle fan. But if you actually like watching Premier League and you understand Premier League, they are cooked. They've lost both their midfielders in Bruno G and Tonali, which were their centerpieces, their projects of Newcastle, just disappeared. Lewis Hall could be leaving at the end of this transfer window to Man United or to Arsenal or to Chelsea. So that would be another defensive issue. Livramento is still recovering from the World Cup injury. They've got a new manager who I'm not convinced at all. Sacking Eddie Howe, yes, he probably should have left years ago. Once he got them into the Champions League, or at least when they got back into the Champions League the year later, I think he surely would have went then. Obviously, getting sacked in pre-season, then having to bring a new manager in, and then they've not been convincing at all. I'm worried. If you're a Newcastle fan, I would be very, very worried right now coming into this season. Because if you don't get a good start, you could be in a relegation zone fight. I generally think that. And yes, they've got Walter, they've got Alanga, they've got Dan Burn, they've got Ram, they've got Pope, they've got Livramento, they've got Hall. But if the Hall goes, then they're in big trouble. They still not really replace Isaac's goals. Yes, they got Walter, but he didn't play much last season even though he was probably their biggest transfer signing. They didn't play him that much. I would be worried if I was Newcastle right now. So was that 11th or 10th? I think it was 10th. 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th. So in 10th, I'm going Brentford in 10th. They look quite good coming into this season. I underestimated them last year. I put them close to relegation. They overperformed to everyone's expectation. This year, I believe in the Bees. I think they're building their squad is perfect. The way they recruit, the way they manage, sell on and etc. is amazing. And I think Brentford will be a mid-table pushing Europa League, Conference League positions. So that is why I've got them in 10th. Obviously, they've brought in that Sangare from Lille, who looks amazing. He's in my FPL. Should be a DEFCON monster. Can score goals as well. But yeah, Brentford, well run. I think they're going to finish 10th. Which means we're into the top 9. And I'm going Bournemouth in 9th. They missed out on European football last year. But I still think they've got the quality from their squad last year. They still managed to keep Tavernier, Krupi Jr. at the minute, Ryan, the right winger, Troffet came in from last year. I think if they can get another signing or two, they could push up higher. But right now, with the business they've done, coming in from last year, I'm putting Bournemouth in 9th, and I think they're going to do very well. And I do think they're going to be close, but I do overall think they might just miss out on Europa League, Conference League football once again, which would be a shame. Moving into 8th, I'm going Brighton. Brighton again. We talk about it every year. They're just so good at building squads, building young players, selling them players on, signing new players, changing managers, changing this. But the system, the club is just so well run, and I think they're going to get into some sort of European competition. I believe they missed out last year. I could be wrong, and if so, my apologies. But I do think they missed out, which would give them the opportunity, especially when I believe there's 9 teams playing in European competitions this year. I think Brighton could take very good advantage of that and get into a European place position. Moving into 7th, I'm going Villa. Villa did amazing last year, getting Champions League football. But I do think they are starting on the decline. They've got some aging players. Yes, they've gone and signed Hello Garnacho. I believe they've signed another failed player. They've obviously lost Morgan Rogers. It's a big one. But I don't think that's as bad as someone like Nottingham Forest losing Anderson. I think they still got some quality in that side, and especially with either Unai Emery as their manager, I do believe they could do very well and still get a European place. So in 7th, which would be Conference League, maybe Europa League playoffs, maybe. Obviously, if Watkins goes, I think that could change my thoughts. But as of right now, with only 2 days to go before the Premier League kicks off, Aston Villa for me are in 7th, which means we go back to traditional football. The big 6, as they say, even though one club should not be classed as that, we are back to the big 6. And in 6th, I'm going... who do I want? I'm going Spurs. I'm going to play it safe. And I'm going... Oh, no, I'm not. It's kind of that. I'm going Liverpool in 6th. Liverpool in 6th. For me, I was tempted between Spurs and Liverpool, but I'm just going on Liverpool because they do have Champions League football. They've lost Mo Salah. They've lost, obviously, Robertson. They've lost Konate. Yes, they got rid of Slot last year. It is Areola's first season. Yes, I think he's a great manager, and I do think Liverpool will eventually come good. But from what I've heard of pre-season, is a lot of questions on Liverpool's fitness, the way that Areola likes to play with high intensity pressing. That apparently the Liverpool squad can't do it, and many players that can't in that squad can't cope. Virgil van Dijk is not getting any younger. I believe he's 34, maybe 35 this season. They've not signed a new centre back that's world class. I know they signed Jeremy Jacquet, but again, he's unproven. I believe he's 20, coming from Ligue 1. Obviously, they got Kirkes, who obviously worked under Areola before. But again, it's that wing backs position. I think they need to get rid of one and go to a traditional left back or right back, and then have one more attacking. I don't think you can have 2 attacking fullbacks. Maybe Areola can make it work, but for me, I think that's going to be a big problem. And again, you got to talk about Mo Salah leaving. Yes, they've got Rio, who looks quite good, will be probably the future. Maybe they can go and get Barcola, because obviously Gakpo might be leaving to Spurs. But for now, I think Liverpool finish 6th, which means in 5th I'm going Spurs. And this pains me because I've this could be 3 years in a row where Spurs do me over on so many points. 2 years relegation contenders. Yes, I would have loved them to go down. That would have been so funny. They survived under De Zerbi with the last couple of games to go. They look very good. Squad building wise, they've got Tonali in. They got Senesi in on the 3. They got Van Hecken. They got Robertson for squad depth. Obviously, I think there's still some issues in Spurs' squad. I forgot they got Matthias Fernandes as well. Their midfield is looking good. Their biggest weakness is goalkeeper and striker. I think if they can go out and sign a good striker that could get 15 to 20 goals, even maybe if they go and look at Ollie Watkins, Slorloff from Atletico, Victor Boniface from Leverkusen, maybe a loan for Endrick or something. Like, if they go and get a better striker than Solanke, they could be dangerous, and I could change my opinion on them. But as of right now, I think they need a new goalkeeper because I'm not convinced in Vicario, who I don't know if he's left yet, but he has made the backup, which means Kinski, who had that stinker in the Champions League, is number 1. And a lot of people saying, yes, mistakes. It was a one-off mistake in a big game. The problem is, if you can't handle the pressure in the biggest game, in the Premier League, they're all big games. Yes, the Champions League is something different. But when you've crumbled before, when Spurs go and play Arsenal, when they go and play Man City, when they go and play Man United, Chelsea, those big games in the Premier League where you need to be winning or at least getting points, with a goalkeeper that's not confident in big games, where he's made mistakes in big games, teams will target that. And that is a big issue for Spurs. Yes, he's young, he might be talented, but in big moments, in big games, he's shown that he's not confident. He's not at that level to be a number 1 goalkeeper. And that, for me, reason is why Spurs will finish 5th. If Spurs get relegated or close to relegation, I'm done. Because I believe they've cost me over 30 points in 2 seasons. In 4th, I'm going Manchester United. It's obviously a downgrade from last year, but I think you've got to kind of give Man United the props from last year. They didn't have any European football. They signed some good players in Cunha and Bemo, and it worked out. This year, again, they've signed some talent. They've got Tielemans on a great deal, which brings that experience into the midfield. They've signed Santos, who I'm not 100% convinced from Chelsea, but he's young. It might work out. Marcus Rashford back from Barcelona. Again, we know how good Rashford could be. Whether we'll get that, I'm not too sure. Bruno Fernandes still there. I think he can do well. Oh no, did I change it? No, I'm going to stick 4. I was going to maybe put them 3rd and go level, but I do think the Champions League will play a part in Man United's season. And I'm not going to go and say United are going to go to the semis or finals or whatever, but they will want to do well. First time in the Champions League in a couple of years since being out of it. I do think they will want to do well, and I think they will try and push to that round of 16 or even automatic qualification, which is very hard with the amount of so many big teams, the amount of games you play, the draws and stuff. But I do think they'll put a little bit more attention on the Champions League, which means in 3rd, I'm going Man City. And I had this completely changed yesterday. Man City, for me, were the biggest threat in Arsenal's back-to-back years until the Community Shield. Arsenal smacked Man City off the park. Man City looked a shell of themselves, and yes, it's a one game, but that's your title rivals. If you can't beat them at the beginning of the season, where neither side are 100% fit, neither side have got that momentum, and you've just been smashed. Their pre-season has not been great. Yes, they've signed some Elliot Anderson, but he looked so rigid. He didn't know where he was playing. He didn't know what his role was in that game. Foden's come back. He looked all right, but he only played about 70 minutes. Erling Haaland didn't even make an hour of the game. And I'm not convinced on Maresca. I think losing Pep is so overrated. And I think Man City fans go, we're going to win the league, it's fine. Pep was your biggest asset. Pep was the man that brought those players in. It wasn't the club. It wasn't the Man City. He was playing under Pep. That's why players wanted to go there. And that's why they kept winning. But I think they've lost their stardom. I think this is the year Man City decline. Whether that's the charges that come in this year or just physically on the pitch. I think Man City have a stinker. And do you know what? I'm changing it. Man United will finish above Man City. Man City are going to finish in fourth. I've talked myself into it. From second to fourth, I think Man City crumble. Yes, they got Erling Haaland and he's going to score goals. But defensively, they look absolutely shocking. And I think Maresca may be lucky to make it till January, February time. And if they're not in that title race, do you know what? I'm backing it. Man United second. My whole predictions have changed. It's crazy. That is it. I'm sticking there. Chelsea in third. I'm Man United. I do support them, but I've talked myself into it. I don't know why. I had them fourth. I originally had them third. Then I went back to fourth, and now I'm talking myself into second. Chelsea. These are, to me, are the biggest contenders to Arsenal. I think they've got Kyle Palmer, who's looking to resurge himself from after not getting picked from the World Cup. João Pedro. They've gone inside Morgan Rogers. How they're going to front three is going to work, I'm not 100% sure. But Xabi Alonso will get it working somehow. They got Palestia, the new replacement for Cucurella. They've got the cars coming in. They've still got Reece James. Their midfield still got Cancedo, Enzo Fernandez at the minute. If Enzo Fernandez goes, I think they could drop to fifth. I generally do think that, which was surprising when I'm talking about them as being contenders. My biggest worry with Chelsea is the goalkeeper. They've not changed the goalkeeper from Sanchez in years. And every time we talk about Chelsea, the goalkeeper position is the biggest issue. If you're Arsenal or Chelsea fan, it's always Sanchez. You talk about any Premier League fan, you say, what could Chelsea do? It's the goalkeeper position. You look at Petr, you look at Courtois, man, they had such good goalkeepers. The recent years, they've had absolute stinkers of goalkeepers. But yet, year on year, they go and sign strikers, midfielders, defenders, academy players. But they've not fixed the biggest issue which has stopped them from being contenders, which is goalkeeper. And then moving on to the winners, I do think Arsenal will win it. Again, this is probably just playing it safe as well. Convincing beating Man City, got to the Champions League final last year, got the Premier League overdone this year. My only fault on this year is maybe Arsenal do look at the Champions League as their priority. Now they've won the Premier League, but I do think they've still got the quality and the squad depth to win it. Obviously, if Saliba is out injured, they've got Maresca, Masquerade playing at centre back alongside Gabriel, who's not an issue, but if they could go and get a better centre back, then I would be more convincingly defensively on them. They got Bruno G, who looked quite good. I just think Arsenal win it. Simple as that. Am I going to change it? I'm going to go Chelsea for second, and I think United third. That is going to be my locked-in Premier League prediction for the 26-27. A lot of chopping and changing, but that is, again, my predictions. If I did put your team too low, or I think I put a team too high, obviously have your right to put in the comments, but be respectful, be mindful that it is just a bit of a laugh. It is nothing serious. Football is unpredictable. Things can happen that you don't predict. Things that you do predict you can get right. So don't take it too seriously. And if you do disagree, that's fine. But let me know in the comments down below what you think is the right, and we can discuss that. So that is going to be my Premier League predictions, guys. Some big calls in there. But that's what we're here for. So if you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And look out for my fantasy football content. We're back at it this year. And you are able to join my mini league. So thank you for watching. And see you around. Goodbye.